Yeah, a lot of it is rooted in Lebanon, politics back in Lebanon, government constitution that is based in religion and sectarianism, right? The prime minister has to be Sunni Muslim, the parliament speaker has to be Shia Muslim, the president has to be Christian Maronite. And so
switching gears into politics a little bit, I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure I've seen you address this on multiple occasions, but in the past election cycle, it seems like the Democrats actively avoided talking about a major issue. And their participation in Israel's genocide of the Palestinian population. And this actually caused dramatic swings in the voter population, going from either voting for the Democrats reliably and consistently in a place like Dearborn to not voting at all, or even sometimes voting for Donald Trump. Do you feel like this was a failure within the Democratic Party? And are the Democrats going to address this issue at all? Have you talked to other people in the party?
It absolutely was a failure. And it was a failure of the candidates who were unwilling to draw a line at genocide. And I think for many of us in the Dearborn community, I got a picture of my grandfather on the cover of a magazine in 1989 in the paper, marching for a free Palestine in 1989. So for many of us in Dearborn, there's something that's passed down generationally, an issue that has impacted so many of us. My parents are Lebanese, but my grandparents had lived under occupation, Israeli occupation in south of Lebanon. Many families here did live under occupation, and they still have their booklets where the IDF soldiers had the stamp, granting them approval to walk freely about in their own village. And so I think people underestimated the impact of what was unfolding overseas. No matter how loud we tried screaming from the rooftops, obviously with the uncommitted movement that launched in the primary, signaling that this is much larger than you think. Do I think the Democrats got it together now? I don't. I absolutely don't think so. I think they're headed towards that direction. I have no idea. I think it is going to be a litmus test come the 2026 election in Michigan, but more importantly, come the presidential in 28. I think it's going to be a defining question of where do you stand on the issue of the genocide on Gaza. The populace has shifted. Every poll has demonstrated that the populace has shifted, but the party has not.
And the population shifting is not new. But it is new in the grand scheme of things, like you said, since the 80s onward. But we knew that the population attitude was shifting in the election.
Correct.
And Democrats' inability to address that shift, or overall refusal to even acknowledge that shift, has been costly in this election, and not just for Dearborn, but Michigan broadly, and everywhere else. And I feel like I feel as though, even from the consultants I spoke to, and people who are in the know, like even the Pod Save America guys, for example, who certainly have become much more radical in the aftermath of this election on this issue, and were very critical some of them were very critical of Israel's actions, even with the Biden administration, but not to this degree. Like when I talked to them before the election, when I interviewed with them, they would say there's a lot of people who care about this, but from the Israeli perspective. And I don't think that was the case at all. I think it's not just Muslims and Arabs, but it was all people of conscience that looked at this and saw right from wrong, and wanted the party to reflect their values. Reflect the values that we assume the Democrats are supposed to have.
Well, obviously, progressive except Palestine is a term that we know.
Of course.
Many of those who I served with in Lansing, who are elected officials today, but the 100,000 people that voted uncommitted in the presidential primary in Michigan were not just Arab and Muslims, to your point. It was multi-generational, multi-ethnic coalition that was built, saying that these are our universal values that should be applied across. It's a very personal issue. I can't emphasize that enough. My mother-in-law grew up in the refugee camps in Lebanon. I volunteered with United Nations Relief Work Agency 2014. I was in Jordan, working those refugee camps. Went back last year, actually, in the Jordan. visited one of the major camps that hosted many of the families from Gaza. So this is something that we won't forget. I think the party anticipated that there's a lot of time between the primary and the general. That obviously failed. I think they think there's a lot of time between the last presidential election and the next presidential election. I don't think that's going to happen and manifest as they wish it would, because the atrocities are just getting worse. I mean, just today we woke up to the fact that my mom's in Lebanon. You know, she's there for a few weeks, and there's bombings in Lebanon today.
Yeah.
And Dearborn's home to a large Lebanese community, a large Yemeni community. Their prime minister was just killed yesterday. And so the atrocities are just numerous, and the first Lebanese American that was killed was a Dearborn resident.
Yeah, and it's with our involvement.
Correct.
Our American involvement.
Correct.
Like, we're American citizens, and our hard work.
Democrats' refusal to have a backbone is what allowed the likes of a Donald Trump to come into the city.
Yeah.
Now, full disclaimer, Donald Trump did not win a majority of the city of Dearborn. Took 40%. Did he win a plurality? Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly not a majority. 60% still said no to Donald Trump. And for a lot of folks, and we've polled on this, for a lot of folks it was just out of disdain to the Democrats. Because if you go down ballot, Trump took about 40%. In the pro-genocide Democrats didn't get more than 40%.
Yeah.
A lot of the down ballot candidates, like Rashida Tlaib, took 65%. Akira Harris Bolden, Supreme Court Justice, took 65%. So the traditional Democrats still had about 65%. Gaza was the litmus test, and Gaza was the issue that people were going.
Extra garlic. Yeah. It felt as though the dramatic swing was what was of utmost importance in terms of that analysis, because like post 9/11 in the United States of America, I think Muslim communities have historically voted very progressive, and as a matter of fact, Muslim communities, and they're polled on this kind of stuff, and as it pertains to social issues, are far more progressive overall than evangelical white Christians are. And of course, evangelical white Christians are not only are they overrepresented, but they're also obviously, they're far more bigoted than the way people present Muslims in traditional media. And they have an outsized impact, and they are the ones who are actively pushing back on, women's bodily autonomy as it pertains to reproductive rights and things like that. As a Muslim American, as a mayor in a predominantly Muslim city, what do you have to say to people that misunderstand this dynamic, that think that Muslims are backwards, they're not socially progressive?
Yeah, I think it's no longer excusable to be ignorant. You can always ask a question, ask a Muslim. I remember there was that comedy tour about ask your Muslim neighbor. And so I think people just presume. We actually have the National Arab American Museum here in the city of Dearborn. It's the only one of its kind. And there's a giant exhibit that shows how Arab Americans, Muslim Americans have been depicted on TV, whether it's cartoons or movies. And almost always exclusively were depicted as the villain.
Yeah.
And this had happened for decades, for generations.
All right,
imagine for generations.
I'm going to call you real quick. Because you're Lebanese.
Yeah.
You have to speak for your people here for a second.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with the Lebanese people that are so right-wing? Did you know Jeanine Pirro is Lebanese? Judge Jeanine Pirro?
No.
She's Lebanese.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Talk to your people.
We don't claim everybody.
This is a gotcha. This is turning into a
I
gotcha
gotta
interview.
say, we don't claim it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get into the Turkish folk or no?
No, they're all bad.
We don't claim everybody.
Yeah, there is a. It's really interesting. There are a lot of Lebanese people, Maronite Christians mostly, that are in positions of power and in Hollywood, but also in politics in general. And it's very interesting because they're very white passing.
Yeah.
I would say
a lot of it is. I'm very white passing.
Me too.
Yeah, a lot of it is rooted in Lebanon. Politics back in Lebanon. Government constitution that is based in religion and sectarianism, right? The prime minister has to be Sunni Muslim. The parliament speaker has to be Shia Muslim. The president has to be Christian Maronite. And so this is how power is distributed across Lebanon. And so sometimes that that trickles back home.
What do you have to say when people tell you, I'm not Arab, I'm Maronite Christian? It's different. I'm Phoenician.
You know, I'm a big believer. I focus on myself. I teach my children to be proud of their culture and their roots and their history and never to shy away from it. They got very strong Arab names, which I'm proud of, very Muslim names. You know, my name is Abdullah. I say it that way. I correct people who get it wrong. That's how you have to be. And authenticity will get you places.
I'm asking because I got a couple buddies like that are always like, I'm Phoenician. I'm Phoenician, brother.
No comment. No comment to this, bro. Just to read a few more books. I guess.
They say, listen, we're not like those. We're not like those kinds of Lebanese.
Yeah.